Shaquan Show.
Hey, what's up? Thanks for tuning in to the Shaquan Show, the only place where normalcy is not necessary, but flourishing within your means is. Welcome back to another episode of Hey Girl, nice to meet you. You already know, if you have been rocking with me, what up though? Welcome back. I'm so glad that you're here. And if you are brand new here and this is your first time, hi, hello. Hey girl, nice to meet you. I'm so glad that you have chosen to join us. I am your host, Shaquan, and today we are talking about something that every single one of us has had to face at some point in our life, and that is forgiving those closest to us. Family, or those we revere as family. And I'm not talking about like the cute kind of forgiveness, I forgive you because I'm over it. It is what it is kind of forgiveness. I am talking about forgiving the things that are hard to forget. There are some things that just do not leave your memory. There is some hurts that are still living rent-free, and we are landlord to them. There are some offenses that really don't fade with time. You can remember everything that they said, that they did, how it made you feel, what day of the week it was, what side of the bed you woke up on, what drawers you were wearing, what toothpaste you used that day. It is almost like it happened just yesterday. So my real question is this: if you remember it, does it mean that you haven't forgiven them? Or if you still feel something when you see them or when you hear them, does that mean that you haven't forgiven them? Or what if you don't trust them again? Does that mean that you haven't forgiven? Let's talk about it. I want to talk about it because I feel that it is one of the biggest misunderstandings across the board of the topic of forgiveness, right? I think that society has cultured us to make us believe that forgiveness is supposed to feel good. Like, I would even argue this is even sometimes in church, because we talk about forgiveness a lot, but we don't talk about the other side of forgiveness. But like I was saying, it's almost made to seem like once you have forgiven someone, you're just going to wake up the next day all of a sudden healed and feeling light and brand new and ready to just go and hug them and grab their hand and skip into the sunset under a sky filled with almond joys and kisses. But no, that's not reality. Trust me. I know. I've tested it. In my few little years here on God's green earth, what I have found is that forgiveness is actually not a feeling. It's not something that you feel. Forgiveness is, in fact, a decision. Well, actually, it's a series of decisions. And before I even go there, let me go ahead and preface right now. No, this is not Bible study, but I need for you to have something to reference after we're done with this discussion. So yes, I did find something, a passage or a story in the Bible that you can go back and check out once we're done here. But it's in Genesis 45. So let me just set it up for you in case you have never read Genesis 45 and you're interested, or maybe you have and you just need a quick little synopsis, a reminder of what it is. This Genesis 45 is about Joseph. Now, if you know Joseph, then you've read the story before, you know how long his story is. And his story is like long. His story literally runs from Genesis chapter 37 all the way to Genesis 50. And I believe it's probably one of the longest narratives in the Bible. And honestly, it's one of the most emotional. And it has everything to do with what I said today's topic is about, forgiving those closest to you. Moreover, forgiving family. Have you ever heard the phrase, it be your own people? Well, this is literally the epitome of that, because Joseph wasn't hurt by strangers. Joseph was hurt by his own blood, his brothers. And the way that they did him was so dirty. It was savage. It was wild. Not wild. Wild with an H. Wild. It was wild. All right. So I got to give you some backstory just so that you can better understand why I'm using this story and where I'm going with it. So long story short, basically what had happened was Joseph was the youngest, and he was visibly favored by his father, Jacob. He was his father's favorite son, and his father used to keep him dripped down in the Gucci coat of many colors. And he had privilege, and he had all of his father's attention, and his brothers could not stand him. And the thing is, with Joseph being the youngest, because also we know this in families, right? It's usually the little one that gets away with everything, and they're usually the most bold. Well, it's the same with Joseph. He was bold because he knew the favor that he had. And not only that, Joseph was a dreamer, and he had big dreams, like big God dreams. And he wasn't afraid to share his dreams. And basically, one day he decides that he's going to share this dream that he had with his brothers. And he tells them, y'all are going to bow down to me. Of course, this did not help his case. If anything, it just pissed his brothers off even more. So fast forward, one day, Jacob tells his son Joseph to go check on his older brothers working in the field. Mind you, it's hot outside. They've been working all day. And all of a sudden, they see their little brother coming. For what? Because I imagine they're thinking, why would daddy send the little brother to come check on the big brothers? And that ain't really making too much sense to them, right? So anyhow, they see him coming, and they immediately start plotting on what to do with him. So they capture him and they throw him in a pit. There's one brother that's like, yo, let's kill him right now. But then there's another brother that steps in. He's like, no, we're not going to kill him. How about we sell him? So that's what they do. They sell their brother. They get the money. Then they take his coat, the Gucci coat, the one that he was dripped down in, that his daddy gave him. So they take that one and they cover it in blood. And then they go back home and they let their father believe that Joseph is dead. Okay, so like, is this giving true crime or what? Is it, or is it just me? Okay. I'm gonna stay focused. But I'm gonna pause right here because some of us actually have been hurt. Maybe we weren't thrown into a literal pit, but metaphorically speaking, we have experienced this. And this type of hurt and betrayal just hits different when it comes from people who are supposed to protect you. So Joseph ends up getting sold into slavery, and he finds himself at Potiphar's house. He gets lied on, and then he gets thrown into prison where he sits there for years and years on end. So imagine not only getting betrayed by your brothers, sold into slavery, ending up at Potiphar's house. Oh, I guess I should tell you why he ended up in jail. So he ends up in Potiphar's house, and Potiphar's wife ends up coming on to Joseph because Joseph is fine. He's a good looking young man. And Potiphar's wife, she just be at the crib, idle, nothing else to do. And she sees something that she likes and she want a piece of it. She want a little piece of JoJo. And JoJo is like, oh, no, I cannot do that. You are literally my boss's wife. Why would I do that? Nonetheless, he ends up running away from, like, he literally had to fight his way away from her. She ends up keeping his cloak, another garment, another piece of clothing that he had on. And then she lies on him and says that he tried to take advantage of her. So Potiphar ends up throwing him into jail for years. Now, imagine all the things that had just happened with your family. Now you're locked up for a crime that you didn't even commit. But all of this happened because your brothers decided that they wanted to get rid of you. Imagine all of the emotion and the anger and the resentment. How easy it would be for Joseph just to say, yo, if I ever see them again, it is on sight. If I ever get out this jail, you already know what it is. But then God ends up flipping the story. He ends up flipping the script because God be doing that. So fast forward, Joseph ends up interpreting the Pharaoh's dream. Pharaoh elevates Joseph. Joseph ends up becoming the second in command over all of Egypt. A famine hits, the famine that the Pharaoh had dreamt about. So when I say the story is long, it is long. It's a whole lot that I would have to fill you in on that we don't necessarily have time for. So I'm skipping parts, but if you go and read it for yourself, then you'll see, like, I'm right on. I'm pretty sure I'm spot on. I took good notes. But nonetheless, this famine hits, and now the brothers who did him dirty, the brothers who are essentially responsible for him being second in command, are starving because there's a famine. So they end up in Egypt looking for food. Now, it's been years. Scholars say that it was like over, 20 years since they had seen Joseph. So when they come to Egypt, they end up having to speak with Joseph to get this food, but they don't even recognize Joseph. But Joseph does recognize them. And here's the thing. Joseph is in power now. Joseph has the authority. Joseph has all the access. He has the ability to punish them. Because remember, all the time that he sat in that pit, then getting sold into slavery, then having to sit in jail, being punished for something that he never did, being punished because of their jealousy, he has the ability right now at this very moment to go all the way in. And the way that Pharaoh feels about Joseph, if Joseph snapped his fingers and said, I want them all dead, Pharaoh would have taken care of it. But it is at this moment in time that we begin to learn and see what forgiveness actually looks like. Because in Genesis 45, what ends up happening is Joseph reveals himself. He cries. He says to his brothers, hey, I'm Joseph. I'm your brother. I'm the one you sold into slavery, into Egypt. And then he goes on to do something that is just, it's just so powerful. And it messes me up every single time I read it. He forgives them. He forgives them. Not because it didn't happen. Not because it didn't hurt. But I have to reckon with this that he forgives them because he made a decision. Rather, he made a series of decisions. So back to my my thought at the beginning of this, that forgiveness is not a feeling. It is a series of decisions. And I got that from this story because Joseph literally is giving us a blueprint of what forgiveness looks like. Now, of course, we could talk about Jesus. Jesus also gives us a blueprint of what forgiveness looks like. Also, at the end of the day, I am glad that you're not my Jesus, and you should be glad that I'm not your Jesus, because I don't think any of us really, truly, unconditionally would be willing to die for some of us out here in these streets. Absolutely not. But the goal for many of us is to learn how to love, live, and lead like Jesus. Yes, that is a shameless plug for my church, Legacy Church Chandler. But what I want to share 4 decisions that I believe Joseph made that shows us what forgiveness looks like when you can't forget what they've done to you. Okay, so let's go. So number one, I noticed that he stayed private. So forgiveness is deciding what stays private. Before Joseph even tells his brothers who he is, he tells everyone to leave the room. He clears the room, he makes it private, and that's the first decision. Forgiveness is deciding that you're not going to turn somebody's offense into this public information. You're not going to blast it on social media. You're not even going to dry snitch it out on social media. Some of us are still bleeding because we keep reopening the story. We keep retelling it, telling it to anybody that will listen, quite honestly. And then we give it a play-by-play. And when I say, when I say this, I'm not talking about, being able to talk to someone wise, like getting wisdom for the situation, like a therapist, a pastor, a trusted counselor or something, a good friend, like a safe friend. There's a difference though between processing what happened and then poisoning it as well. Because process is healing. Poisoning is for reputable damage. It's for reputation. It's for reputation damage of the other person. And Joseph, I think it's pretty clear that he shows that he doesn't want to damage their reputation. He didn't embarrass them. He didn't expose them in front of Pharaoh. Like I told you guys earlier, he could have. He didn't call a meeting. He didn't create a group chat and start talking about it. He kept it private. And that's how you know that you're healing, when you are no longer trying to recruit people to dislike the person who hurt you. And that's a word. That's a word, because an unforgiving heart loves an audience. An unforgiving heart is ready to tell it front to back, adding a little extra detail for a little more pizzazz on the story. But a healed heart is okay with being quiet. So ask yourself, do you keep bringing it up because you're not healed? Or do you keep bringing it up because you want that other person to suffer? You want them to look bad. You want them to feel how you felt. But Joseph says, no, everybody out, because true forgiveness knows what to keep private. Okay? Number two, forgiveness is refusing to get revenge. And I know that we love to use the scripture, vengeance is mine, says the Lord. And when we say that, what we really mean is, Lord, get them. Get them. Do to them what they did to me, right? But what we see is that Joseph had the power to ruin them. He had the power to kill them, but he didn't. He had the power to show Pharaoh how terrible of people that they were, but he didn't, because hurt people want people to pay. What's the phrase? Hurt people. We want people to feel how we felt. We want people to lose all that we lost. We want them to suffer just a little bit. Like even just a tiny bit of suffer will bring me just some great satisfaction. But Joseph, not at one point do we see in this story that he seeks revenge. And here's the truth. Revenge does not heal you. For the people in the back, revenge does not heal you. Revenge just gives you something new to carry. Like, okay, so it might feel good in the moment, but eventually it turns into another weight that you have to carry along with the weight of the hurt that you're already carrying, that you haven't been healed from. But what Joseph shows us is something that is spiritual, but real too. And it's that God didn't elevate him so that he could become bitter with power and authority. God elevated him so that he could become free with power and authority. And sometimes this is a test. When you finally have the upper hand on someone who hurt you or did you wrong, who will you be? What will you do? Will you become cruel? Will you look to exact that same hurt on them? Or will you choose to be healed? We see Joseph make a choice in choosing to be healed, because when Pharaoh finds out that Joseph's brothers are in town, Pharaoh is like, yo, this your brother? Y'all are connected to him? This is my guy. I love this man. Yo, bless all his brothers. Bless them. Give them the best land. Give them provision. Give them all the resources. Anything that they need, make sure that they have it. And guess what, y'all? Joseph does not block the blessing. That right there is healed, resolved, mature, whatever other adult word you want to put on that, because some of us we struggle with that part, right? We like to pray the prayer, right? Like, Lord, you know what, Lord, bless their heart, bless them, let them see you the way that I see you. Treat them the way that you've treated me. And then all of that starts to go out the window when God starts doing exactly what you prayed for, because it's all good until they start thriving. All of that goes out the window when they start thriving. It's like, all right, Lord, I mean, I said bless them. I didn't say bless them like that. But Joseph doesn't resent them at all. He allows them to receive that blessing. Forgiveness is not just about releasing them from punishment, but it's also about releasing them from your need to see them suffer or to see them punished, right? Number 3, forgiveness is not rewinding the offense. Oh my goodness, this one is major, because Joseph's brothers, they come to him multiple times in this story. And when you read it, you'll see they came to him like 4 or 5 times. But Joseph only confronts the offense one time. He doesn't keep replaying it. He doesn't keep restarting the argument. He doesn't keep making them relive it every single time that he sees them. He doesn't keep reminding them of how the story went, how you remember it, what your truth is. At some point, feel me on this, please. At some point, there becomes a point where the constant replaying of the situation is really just self-harm. I'll say it plainly. Some of us keep hurting ourselves because we keep pressing play on an old situation. We rewind it when it comes to our minds. We replay the conversation. We relive the hurt and the betrayal. We rehearse it, what we should have said. And we know that's the biggest part, because we think of all the things that we should have said when it's over, or all the things we should have done when it's over, right? Yeah. When you get in the shower, that's when all the good stuff starts coming to mind. When you are in your car driving alone, I should have said. And another thing, what I should have said, right? Or if I get if I get another opportunity to talk to him, this is what I'm about to say. I'm about to shut him down with this one. But we keep ourselves stuck. Yes, the offense is real. But at some point, you have to decide you will not keep bleeding from a wound that God is trying to close and heal. Joseph did not deny the hurt. He made that very clear. He acknowledged it. He made it clear to them, this is what you did to me, and I have not forgotten it. After all these years, I still remember. He cried. He named it. And then he chose to move forward. That is forgiveness. That's the action. That's why I say it's not a feeling, because we see it clearly. It's not based on feelings. If I have to go based on my feelings, I don't forgive you. And I probably never will. But praise God that forgiveness is a decision. He chose to move forward. That's forgiveness. He didn't pretend like it didn't happen. He's not erasing that it happened. He's not even acting like it didn't happen. He is deciding that I am not living there anymore. I don't live there anymore. It's been evicted. I'm not a landlord. I sold it. I sold the property. All of it. The land too. And lastly, forgiveness is remembering your story differently. And we talked a little bit about this in the last episode when I talked about gratitude. But this is my favorite part, because Joseph tells his brothers, what you meant for evil, God sent me ahead to preserve life. He does not call what they did good, because it was not good. It was trash, what he had to go through. But I recognize why I had to go through it. He calls it out. He says what it is, but he also recognizes that God was still working even through the mess. So yes, that did happen, but God never stopped working. Joseph basically says, you were a moment, but God was a movement. And that is the shift. Some of us are stuck because we keep remembering the moment, but you're ignoring the movements of God after that. And the way you start healing is by adding 2 words to your story. I know it's so cliche, but let me free you real quick. But God. Yes, you hurt me, but God. You betrayed me, but God. You lied on me. You ruined my reputation, but God. You left me. I didn't deserve what you did to me. You broke me. It was unfair. But God. Joseph's forgiveness came from a new perspective. He didn't have amnesia about what happened. He never forgot what happened. He just reframed it. He started remembering his story through God's movement, through the movement of his hand, not their hands, through God's hands. And that's how you forgive when you can't forget. You have to stop giving them full credit for your pain and start giving God full credit for your healing. Yes, it happened. It did happen. And it hurt. It hurt. I am filled with such emotion because I think about everything that I have been through from childhood to now. I think about everything that my mom had been through. I think about everything my grandmother had been through. And that I really truly can say, but God. Seriously, but God. Like, all that my grandmother went through as an orphan, not being wanted by her parents, being adopted, being beaten. All of that was supposed to break her. She wasn't supposed to continue forward and have children, and she did. All of the domestic violence, watching her being beat She wasn't supposed to make it through that, but she did. But God. My mom having me at 16, me as a toddler watching my mom be beat over and over. My mom, I'm sorry. Oh, but it's real. My mom being followed to a different state to drop her children off with her mother because she was afraid that someone was going to kill them. But God, we weren't supposed to make it this far. I wasn't supposed to be here. I was not supposed to be here. Granted, her life was still taken, but God shielded my little brother and I from being taken as well. And here's the crazy part about it. The man that took my mother's life and could have taken ours is still very much alive and living. And guess what? I forgive him. I forgave him years ago. I think back in like 2018, 2017. Oh no, further than that, 2016 to be exact. I have to find the exact date. But I forgave him because I couldn't walk with that anymore. I couldn't. Of course, I didn't know where he lived, and I don't have any contact information for him. But I did put it on social media, just because I know that there may have been some of his kinfolk that were connected to my relatives that may see that video, and I didn't say anything disturbing or make him relive it. I just wanted him to know that what you did out of anger and out of jealousy, I'm okay. God still moved on my behalf. God still was working. Yeah. So just to be clear, forgiveness is not a feeling. I mean, clearly you guys can see how I still feel, but it is a series of decisions. And that's what this story teaches us, that it's keeping some things private. It's refusing to get revenge. It's not rewinding the offenses. It's remembering your story differently through God, through his unchanging hand. And I want to say this too. Again, I've been saying it throughout these past 3 episodes, or the last 2 episodes. But forgiveness does not mean reconciliation. There's nothing in me that wants to go and be friends with the man that took my mother's life. It doesn't mean that he now has access to me just because I've forgiven him. It doesn't mean that I have to let him back into my life. It means that I refuse to let the offense keep living in me. I refuse to let the offense keep leading me, controlling me. You cannot flourish within your means, as I like to say, while you're carrying what belongs to your past. It's not possible. It's not possible to carry the hurt and offense and still be able to recognize all that God is still doing. That's why I say, but God. You meant to take us out. You meant for that to be our detriment, that to be the end of us. But God. Man, okay. Yeah, thanks for hanging in there with me, guys. I know that was a little bit of a roller coaster. Yeah. I haven't done this in a while, but I got some homework for you. I want you to either journal these two things or, maybe just take some time to really mull over them and think about it. But number one, what offense do you keep replaying? And number two, what would shift if you started remembering your story with "but God" in it? And maybe you need to write a short prayer. God, help me to forgive without pretending. Help me to heal without replaying and rewinding. Help me to release what I can't forget. And that's it. In Jesus' name, amen. Short prayers are still heard prayers. We think that we have to go to God with this high level vocabulary, but God is like, yo, just talk to me. And that's what I do. I keep it real, simple, and it's still powerful. And it's still heard. I know that it's heard because I can look at my life today. Right? All right, y'all. Well, again, thanks for hanging in there on that roller coaster of emotion. I had no clue that was going to happen. But look, we made it. We made it. That's all I have for y'all today. Thank you again for joining me. You already know, if this episode helped you or blessed you in any kind of way, please share it with a friend who is trying to heal but is maybe stuck. And then tell that friend to share it with another friend. Tell a friend to tell a friend. And if you're listening on your favorite platform, please drop a quick review or rating because it helps this message to reach others who may be trying to flourish and heal. And they may not even know that they're ready to heal and flourish until you send this to them. I'll have new episodes dropping every Tuesday, or at least I'm trying to keep it on Tuesdays. So be sure that you're subscribed wherever you listen to podcasts so that you don't miss an episode. Make sure that you follow me on socials at Shaquan Show. I'm really easy to find so that we can keep the conversation going throughout the week because I love hearing from you guys. Your words might just be the key that unlocks freedom for someone else, to include me. Until then, in the meantime and in between time, I cannot wait for you to keep meeting you. And now that you've entered into the Shaquan Show, you have no choice but to grow. Peace. Shaquan Show.